come around to say hello. One-on-one, I'm so fly. You took a nosedive. Careful when you play on my level. For you, it's so. Hey, hello.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra. Flip the script.
Hello, Moto.
Ambassador Meera Shankar, former Indian ambassador to the United States. And Meera Shankar, nations will have to take positions. The way the situation in West Asia and the Middle East is emerging, Iran and Israel are there, but there are many other countries in between, from Lebanon, from Gaza to Palestine, to Yemen, Jordan, Russia, China, United States, European countries. Can we look at this situation as one side which is erring and the other side which is a victim? Or, how far back in history do we need to go? And what kind of a position will nations have to take, including nations like India?
Look, first of all, it's a fairly complex and divided history in the region. But let's just go back to October 7th, because the trigger for the current round of violence were the terrorist attacks by Hamas on Israel on October 7th. And there was a lot of sympathy for Israel and, of course, the belief that Israel had the right to defend itself. But I think the international community also believes that the response has to be proportionate. I mean, that it cannot really be wholesale attacks against civilian populations. And I think there Israel has been losing international sympathy, except from its close supporters, because 45,000 people have died in Gaza. There have been attacks on the West Bank, and probably another 80,000 have been wounded. And this is out of a population of about 3 million. And now we're seeing the war extend into Lebanon, Yemen, and Iran. Now, I think what is important right now, instead of looking at who did what to whom and we are going to retaliate, because I think these retaliatory passions, in a sense, have prevented cooler heads from prevailing in the Middle East. And even for Israel, its long-term security will really not be guaranteed by this kind of devastation in civilian populations around, because, new calls for vengeance will emerge. I think the long-term prosperity and stability of the Middle East will lie in halting in some way the ongoing conflict. There have been talks about a ceasefire. They haven't worked as yet. And then there's been talk about release of hostages and then extension of the ceasefire. And either Hamas or Israel have reneged or not accepted some of the conditions. So those discussions have not really progressed to a point where something tangible will emerge. And in the meanwhile, violence has continued with targeted assassinations and bombings by Israel, and now attacks, ballistic missile attacks into Israel by Iran. So it's a fairly dangerous situation. And the need of the hour is really diplomacy to try, to limit the chances of an all-out conflict in the region.